Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are going to be playing Palia, or Palia, however you want to say it. Sorry for the long video, but I got so caught up in the game, I didn't realize how long I had been recording. I'm really excited for this game. It seems very promising and more of the style that I like. Chill, relaxing, you don't have to worry about leveling up so bad because you're new and whatnot. So, let's hop into it and see how it goes. When we've got set up, we got this nice little rules thing, which is always nice to see. And then we were hit with the intro video.
Now where should I start?
Then we are hit with the character creation options. And instead of a gender, we are given a body type, which is always nice to see. And then, I thought we wouldn't have that many customization options, but they really do give you a lot to use in this game. Straight out the start. Which is always nice. While looking through the outfit options, I found one that I loved. It is a dragon t-shirt. I love dragons! It is a whole thing for me. So seeing that they had this was amazing. And as we'll find, there's a lot more dragon stuff included in this game, and I'm loving it! I didn't like the pants that went with the outfit, so I did play around with a few of the options to find one that I felt fit better. Once our name was chosen, it was time to jump into another cutscene.
Time for you to go out into the world. I have high hopes for what you can accomplish.
Once we are woken, we are met by Gina, who is an archaeologist, apparently. And interacting with her, we learn that there is different elements of how you can answer questions and interactions. fire types, earth types, air types, and water types. Think of it like your personality quizzes, which is always really fun, you know? Gives a little bit more personality to your answers. Interacting with her, we find that humans aren't exactly common in these parts, and nobody knows why we're here yet. We also meet Hecla, or however you want to pronounce it, which is her robot assistant. Once we're done interacting, we are thrust into the tutorial of how to move. We got basic WASD movement, look around using the mouse, and the details of this game is really, really well done. Just the colors, the lighting, the character designs already look amazing. As we continued on, we learned how to do jump, which is spacebar, and we can, climb, jump, run, all sorts of things. And they give us a little way down the hallway to test those new skills, which is always nice. Of course, I missed the jump the first time. And forgive the lagging, my internet is not always the best, and of course, as an MMO, this game does require internet, so there will be parts where my game does lag. Coming out of the cave, we are hit with another little cutscene. And again, the visuals here are just amazing. We then learn about the navigation system and what things will be on the map, like quests, people who need to talk to us, that sort of thing. And it also teaches us how the map works, so we can find people and add markers and all that. Making our way out of the cave, we are met with Ashura, the innkeeper. He teaches us that there's a plot of land, and gives us an axe. So, once given our axe, we are thrust into another cutscene and sent on our way. Arriving at our plot of land, we are met with Hodari, I think I'm pronouncing that right, who is the resident miner, and miner as in those who mine ores. He tells us that a lot of humans have been showing up lately, and that he was just checking out this place for future humans to use, and he gives us an pickaxe to start clearing up the area so we can use it. And it's not, right now we can build in this little small area, but eventually we will have a whole lot more area to use. We're then taught how to equip items, which is pretty simple, how to gather, and all that. So we equip our axe and we get started by chopping down several trees and mining away different parts of rocks until we eventually get it all cleared out. Well, enough to get the next part of the quest done. Heading back, he tells us that there's still lots to do, but it's a start. And we also tell him that we found this strange item. He's not sure what it is, so he tells us we can keep it because finders keepers, and that he has to be on his way. He also gives us the blueprints for a work table, which we are then taught how to place items in this world. It's quite easy, and the customization options will be great later on. So, first things first, we set down our little workbench so we can get to work. Using the workbench, we can see that we need a lot more wood and a lot more fiber, so we got to work clearing out more of the area around us. Eventually we have enough to craft a little storage chest, but not enough for the tent, so we needed to go back and collect more resources for the tent. Eventually we had enough and was able to craft it. And the animations for crafting is quite cute. And then we get a pop of our action bar being full, and that we have 2 action bars right now. We'll get more later on. We attempted to place down our tent, but discovered that we did not have enough clear space, so we were back to clearing out and gathering more items. And it was at this point in editing that I realized something. That, unfortunately, if I left in all the times that I gathered, this video would be a lot longer. So, unfortunately, I had to cut those out. But I will pop in when something interesting happens. Eventually, we had enough to clear out enough space to put our stuff down. And, you know, it was actually quite a little cute. And then we moved our workbench inside the tent as well. And then we had a little friend show up. Anir. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He is the resident mail deliverer and bug enthusiast. We do catch bugs in this game. Please ignore the sound in the background. The neighbors are mowing. He tells us that he can deliver lots of mail and that we have our first package.
Oh, was that a dragonfly?
And in the mailbox, we find a letter with a fishing rod from Enar, who wants us to come visit them. And then we have one from Hassan, who gives us a bow, some arrows, and a recipe for more arrows. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name. I think it's Hassan. Once done, we go back to Ani. And he tells us that we can find all sorts of stuff here. We show him the artifact, but he's not sure what it is, but maybe Gina might know. And while he's here, he gives us a bug catcher's belt. with enough stink bombs to be able to catch some bugs. It also tells us that there's some people we need to meet.
Gotta grab a snack.
So first we went ahead and cleared out our inventory just a little bit. It was took a minute to figure out how to work the inventory. To select one item put in, you click it. But to drag full stacks, you gotta drag full stacks. It's nice. Simple, but nice. Once our hotbar was fixed, we were ready. Ready to go out to the world. Once we got to the loading screen, we were met by a letter from the developers thanking us for trying the game. And we were free to explore the main area where you'll meet a lot of players. They can come visit your house, but this is the main world and hub where you'll run into everybody. Again, it feels really nice and cozy, you know? The design's just well done. I pulled up the chat, you know, tells you how many players are nearby. It's always nice to see. Chat is simple, not too terrible, and you can toggle things on and off. And the music is amazing. I see so many people with some great cosmetic stuff. I'll look into those later. We pull out the map to find who we need to talk to and start heading into town. We also got some gifts from the developer team, which is nice. We got a rug, we got some bug stuff, and we got a giant plushie. That'll be important later. All hail Frogbert. We run into Gina on our way into town, and we show her the artifact we found. She says it's an ancient flow battery that's a very powerful ancient source. So she asks if she can have it, and she'll send a letter when she figures out what it can be used for. Continuing to explore, we find this little doggo named Tao? I think that's how you pronounce it. And interacting with Tao, we asked, does he have a surprise for us? And he gives us a piece of fur. How cute. While exploring, I find this little shop here, which seems to be a little tailor shop. But it is also something very important. But we find Wreath here as well. Wreath, I think his name's Wreath. He's the local chef of the area, and he is here to teach us how to cook. He asked us to make a campfire at our place to start, so we'll do that once we get back.
Sorry, can't stand chat.
While exploring, I find some copper, which I thought would be interesting to mine, see what we got. And we got a silver ore, some stone, and some copper ore from it. So that was always nice. It had a large shiny pebble. I wonder what that'll be useful. We got some more silver ore and copper ore from that one as well. And then we tried to catch a bug. I missed. I try again, and I missed again. I tried one more time, and I missed again. Not sure what I was doing wrong on this one, because I know I hit it, but then that one just phased through the floor. But I could not collect this bug, for some reason. I even looked to see if the stink bombs I was using was accurate, and it was the one I needed to use. But he then vanished. While exploring, I found some spicy sprouts. Could be useful later. And then we found Badru, the local farmer. And he has a very, very good sense of humor with lots of vegetable puns. And he's here to teach us how to farm. So that'll be nice. So we'll need to go back to our home to do his quest as well. And he also tells us that the mayor will help us set up our new house.
Remember.
Well, going back to town, I caught this moth. And then I ran into Kenley. Keenley? The mayor. And he has a long title. Very long title. And then I accidentally exited out of talking with him. So we had to go back in. We tell him we want to build our own house. And he says he has to find the paperwork. So while he searches, he tells us to go find Tish, the local carpenter. And she'll get us some furniture. So, and they asked how's he doing as a mayor? And we tell him, decently. Eventually, we did find Tish, who the characters tend to glitch depending on where you talk to them, but that's all right. We tell her that Kenley sent us, and she gives us some recipes for a bunch of different furniture for our house. We got dining tables, chairs, you name it. We decided to head back to our house using the quick travel, and we are shown how to interact with friends by going and visiting to them with the signboard. And then Badru shows up and tells us how to get started farming. He asks what's our... Bleh. Tells us we're gonna fit just fine here. Going through his conversation is a lot of puns. And then we're shown the overflowing bounty because our inventory was too full. Luckily, you don't lose anything, so that's always nice.
Looking forward to our next.
And then we're taught how to garden by placing down the plot, and then how to set up the plots and plant. And we also need to water them, but we don't have to worry about them shriveling up.
Oh, I see.
All they depend on is water. So after clearing our inventory a little bit, we set the plot down, and after playing with it for a little bit, I eventually figured out how to get this set up. You have to make the squares appear using the hoe, and they must be mostly complete squares to count, which is an interesting mechanic. Once our plot is set up, we head back to the farmer, and we are able to get some plants, carrots, and onions. He gives us a watering can and tells us how to fill it up, and tells us that planting certain seeds around each other give different benefits, which is always nice.
Call me an orange, 'cause I'll see you around.
So I take my seeds over to the plot and figure out how to plant them. You just select the seeds and then select where you want to plant them. So I did a cross grid thing, putting carrots and then putting onions in between them all. Equipping the watering can gives us the tutorial on how to use the watering can. We will need to keep an eye on the water level, so all we have to do is go over to a body of water that we can stand in and then click to fill it up. Luckily there is a couple spots over by our house that we can use, and it's pretty simple if I can figure out the right button. But eventually I do figure it out and we're able to water our plants. I needed to gather some more mushrooms and other materials, so that is exactly what I did. We were able to get enough to be able to cook our grilled mushrooms, which was simply just 3 mushrooms, and then we had to wait about 15 seconds. You'll find that in this MMO, you do have to wait a lot for things, and it's real time. So, if that's not for you, then this game is not for you. But luckily, early game's pretty quick. We then learned about the focus bar, which is increased by eating, and having your focus bar filled gives you additional XP when leveling up, when doing items like gathering, crafting, whatever. All your skills will level up. And having focus makes it a little bit faster, which is interesting. So it encourages you to eat even though there is no hunger system. While chopping down trees for more materials, we were able to level up our tree cutting skill. Which wasn't much, but hey, it's something. Eventually we had enough materials to craft the dining table, which when we crafted it, we were able to learn another recipe, which is always nice. I went with what looked like a gate, and I was right. Next thing we crafted was 2 dining chairs, because you can't have a table and just 1 chair, you gotta have 2. And then we learned the bed recipe, which we won't make in this video, we'll make it next one. Then our inventory was full, so we went ahead and emptied out some of the materials we didn't really need quite yet. Once our inventory was empty, we went back to see what else we could craft. We would need more wood for the wardrobe. And we would need some more fur, and we would need to find some moss. We'll find that later. We went ahead and looked around and found a good spot to place our items that we had just crafted for our quest. There wasn't a whole lot of room in the tent, so I decided to put them outside for now. Once we get a house, we'll put them inside. The placement is pretty good. You can get items pretty close to each other, and you can put them on different angles, which is always nice. Our mailbox needed attention, so we got a letter from Ashura asking us to come to the inn, and then a letter from Gina giving us back our battery and telling us to go take it to a door in the cave on which we appeared. We'll do that later. We decided to water our plants real quick once more. It's very satisfying. And after some more gathering, we had enough wood to make the wardrobe, and then we learned a little planter recipe, which I never really did get around to using yet. We went ahead and placed down our wardrobe, which took a little bit to make sure it wasn't clipping into the wall. Then we opened it up to take a look, but decided to go talk to Kenley when he showed up. He had found the papers that we needed to sign, and he could give us the blueprint. So we need to figure out how to plop the frame down to be able to start building. So I figured out how to place things like big buildings, and figured out that to remove things we would need to make sure that they're empty, but we could move them with items inside, which is nice. So you don't have to empty out your house if you just want to move it from a different location. But we would need to gather more items to actually build the house. We would need to figure out how to make planks and bricks. Tish showed up, and she had more blueprints for us, and told us how to get the bricks and wood. We had to go talk to some people. So more quests for us.
Have a good day.
So we went ahead and went back to town and ran into Ani again,
Didn't expect you.
and had us make the bug catcher's oath. And of course we did. And we promised to tell him if we find anything interesting. And he told us that certain bugs will only come out at certain times, which is a nice little touch. Then we ran into Ashura, and he clipped into the stairs while we were trying to talk to him. And he told us that he had a recipe for a sawmill, but we didn't have any coins. And then my internet cut out, so I had to come back later. Once our internet was back on, we went ahead and went to go find people. I stopped for a minute to kind of figure out what I wanted to try and do first. So I decided to open the map, see what we had available. We could turn in our cooking quest. And then I found the inventory, which also tells us our skills and who helps us upgrade our skills, which is always nice. And then we had the pin quest buttons, which is really nice to learn. Opening our map again, we could look to try and find people. They don't have a mini-map, so I'll be opening my map a lot to try and figure out where I'm supposed to be going. Eventually I decided on my next destination, and we headed that way. We decided to head home and learn how the selling shipping bin worked. And at the time, we only had 20 minutes till things would ship out, so I decided to get rid of the bug lanterns that we had gotten from the letters, as well as the fibers. And apparently, the shipping bin empties every 30 minutes, so you don't have to wait like a full day, which is nice. While doing a bit more mining, we leveled up our mining skill to level 2. And then we decided it was time to head out back to town to turn in some quests and wait the next 20 minutes. While running around, we ran into the hunter Hassan again. Hassan. And he seemed pretty cool. And he gave us the task of actually hunting. We then equip the bow and get the hunting tutorial. Hold down the mouse to target. Creatures will flee if you miss or kill them in a single hit. Make sure you are able to chase them. hunting levels will increase, you can get more powerful bows, high-level creatures drop valuable materials for crafting, and all players can work together on larger animals later in the game, which is nice. Then I found a Sundropper Lily, and I thought it looked really cool. And then I just had to run around to find something to hunt. While running around, we ran into Hodari again. He told us how to get the smelter for bricks. Again, we would need coins for this, which we don't have. But he also had other recipes for us, including better pickaxes and some decorative stuff, but we can't afford that right now. Running around, we found some deer, antelope looking things and tried to chase one down. Unfortunately, we lost it. But we did find this weird looking mound, which had an item that was used for a quest later on. Such an interesting quest. Then decided to catch more bugs while looking for things to hunt, and caught this really cool butterfly. And it was a starred butterfly, which taught us that we can catch starred fish and bugs and then display them. Then we went back to hunting and found this little herd of animals and decided to chase after them. Eventually, we were able to get one down and gather its resources. And then we got another one, getting more resources. And then we were back to sort our inventory because our inventory was full. Then we decided to try out fishing, which is actually quite interesting and pretty simple. You have to cast out, wait for the fourth bite, and then press the mouse to bring it in, but keep the bobber within the little brackets. So you move your mouse left and right to keep it within the bracket. It took me a little bit to get the hang of it, but we did catch a few things here. Please enjoy this little time lapse. Once our fish were caught, we decided to go ahead and water our plants again, and they're growing quite well. And while we were watering, our shipment came in. So we had enough gold to go to town to get the crafting stations we needed. Decided to drop off some fish in the shipping bin before we left. That way we could get some more income while we were running around. Then we were back to town and decided to look around, and we found the library, meeting Elucia. I'm not sure how you want to pronounce him. Who is a cryptid and human enthusiast. Think crazy white lady of the woods. And I think she's going to be a really cool, interesting character to get to know.
So many mysteries.
And then we met the librarian Calaria. Calaria? I'm not sure how. I don't know how to pronounce these names. And she seems the more snooty, you break my books, I'm gonna break you sort of thing.
So much to
And
do
then we
with
ran into
soldiers.
Wraith while looking around and turned in our quest to cook things. And he gave us a veggie soup as a reward. And then we were back to the inn to get our woodworking station. It was 100 gold, which we had enough. And then we ran into Hastin again to turn in the hunting quest. Which was some grilled meat, and then we caught another moth. And then we ran around and found our way to this dock, and we met Enar, who was the one who gave us the fishing rod. He wanted us to fish with him for a little bit. He seems a very interesting little robot character, and his design's really cute. So of course, we decided to stop and fish.
Please return.
One fish later, and we were able to turn in his quest. And he asked what we thought of his adornments, and honestly, I agree, they look adorable.
You are done with your face flapping. Humans call me Ina.
He encourages us to keep fishing, and gives a reward of 1 grilled fish. And he seems to not understand the concept of work. But I think he's a good character. We'll get to know more about him later.
Please return. I'm nothing.
Then we were back home to see what we needed to make the basic sawmill, and we needed some more wood, so it was easy enough to go and gather that. After we emptied our inventory, because our inventory was way too full. We stopped to gather our mail, which we had a few letters. One from Hodari, who had more stuff for us. One from a character named Zeki, who wants us to get an expanded backpack. And then one from Gina, who had another quest for us to go visit a phoenix shrine. We'll get to that later. Eventually we had enough wood for the sawmill, and was able to craft it, and we were able to place it down pretty quickly. We're going to need a lot more wood to be able to make enough solid wood for our house, so we have a lot more work to do. While foraging, we were able to get level 3 and started gathering enough wood to make planks. Which, again, it's going to be a while before we can get our house up and going. But we do get it up and going in this episode. Then we stopped back by the inn to get a recipe for a better axe, which we won't make until later. Then we asked if the smelly object we had found in the dirt was his, and it was a no. Apparently, it smells really bad.
Oddity from Gene.
Then we ran into Alicia and asked if it was hers, and she asked if it was a talisman, but luckily it was not. Then we went and did more hunting while looking around. And while we were hunting, I saw that giant frog in the distance. But first I wanted to finish what I was doing. Apparently, that frog is Frogbert, as I will learn later from the chat. Unfortunately, he was removed the latest update, which I haven't played yet. Long live Frogbert! May his memory live on in the giant plushie we got in the mail. Around Frogbert, however, we did find a few things. Bugs, and the moss we needed for the bed. So, it was a great spot.
You see any cool bugs?
Running around, we ran into Ani again and asked if the smelly thing was his.
Gotta head home soon.
And turned in the I Caught Some Bugs quest. He said he'd have some reward for us later, but we'll have to talk to him when we get back. We talked to Kalari, asked if it was hers, and again she said no. We ran into Ziki and asked if it was his, but again, no. Then we found Wraith, and apparently the smelly thing was his attempt at a century-old egg. He said he's been trying to get the recipe right. But it's not working. Of course it's not going to work. It's not going to happen in such short a time, but oh well. I asked if I wanted him to try and eat it, and I told him to eat it. And of course he did. And it did not end well. We found our way to the general store, which we didn't buy a whole lot here. But we did sell some things to try and get a little bit more gold. And to empty our inventory. The general goods store does sell a lot of things that we may need later. Things that are hard to find, and stuff for crafting, and seeds, so we'll have to come back for more. We tried to do the lucky box, but we did not have the right currency, and I'm not sure what currency it uses. But while running around, we found the bag that we needed, which was 500 gold, but we had enough, and it expanded our inventory, which is great. We then made our way to a new area to find Hadari, who had our recipe for our basic smelter. And once that was purchased, we were able to get the recipe for copper bars and ceramic bricks. And then we were on our way back and we met Ani, who then had another quest for us. That he wanted us to catch some butterflies that may drop sprouts. But not every bug will drop it, so we'll have to be careful. Unfortunately, I did not have such luck so far. We then went to the mailbox, which had a lot of stuff, including a picnic basket, a planter, a rug, and recipes. And then some good from Pashari. We were then able to make our basic smelter. and get that set up so we could start working on our bricks. Of course, I had to put it right next to the sawmill for easy access. We then watered our plants and gathered the carrots because they were ready. Kenley showed up while we were gardening, and he had some news for us. Apparently, it's custom for new people to give other people gifts as housewarming presents. So we would have to do that to 5 different people and fulfill a player request.
Goodbye.
No, the player request was later. We decided to do a little bit more mining to gather the materials we would need to make all the bricks we would need. Then we decided to head to town to be able to turn in some gifts for other residents. But unfortunately, I did not get the hang of it for a couple tries, trying and failing till I got Tish a flower, and then gave Reese some meat.
I got my hands full right now.
After talking to Reese, he had another quest for me. Apparently, everybody was getting tired of mostly cabbage stew, but he was not allowed in the library, so he wanted us to go to the library and get a book. Easy, simple, quickly done.
I'll see you around.
We talked to Kalari, and tried to convince her to let us borrow a book, which she reluctantly did. And there was 2 books we could choose from. I decided to go for the fancy cookbook. So we grabbed it and gave it back to Reese. We were given a bowl of veggie stew as a reward. We then found the blacksmith Sifu and gave her some copper, which she enjoyed. Sifu seems to be the mother of the hunter Hassan, which is an interesting story. We then ran into Badru and was able to turn in our quest for harvesting the carrot and the onion, and he gave us some wheat in return. We then gave him a carrot, which he accepted. We then went to his shop and bought some recipes for a swing and some lights, and then went fishing and discovered that we don't swim. Then we met Delalia and tried to give her a gift, but it did not end well. We then met Ziki and gave him a fish. And then he had a quest for us. He wanted us to go find the underground. We'll do that later.
Be seeing ya.
We then had enough quests done that we could go talk to Kenley again.
Oh, goody. Someone to chat with.
And then he informed us that giving presents will increase our relationship with the other citizens.
Humans call me
Then
Einar.
Einar wanted us to talk and wanted to inform us that his recipe shop was open. We couldn't afford anything, so we decided to go and figure out where this battery worked. We found this broken door, which led to these ruins. It was quite interesting. Lots of waterfalls. Very pretty. there was a locked door ahead, and to unlock the door we had to solve a puzzle. And after looking around, it was quite simple what we needed to do, which was to pour some water into this little basin here. An easy puzzle, but nothing too bad, which led to this little cinematic. Then Gina showed up.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day?
Seems this was a sort of temple at some point with ancient human writing, which she was a little surprised we could read, but then remember we are human, so. She asked us to go ahead and look inside the door to see what we had unlocked. Going through, we found this abandoned city, but we couldn't get to it quite yet. We found this headless statue, which gave a proclamation from the king, and found that the city was divided by this giant ravine. So we went back to Gina, and we told her what we found. Trying to navigate the area, she told us that we needed to go get a glider. So we'd go do that, but first we went to go investigate the area in which we first arrived. Nothing really happened when we came to investigate, except we did upgrade our focus meter, which is nice. We'd find more shrines that do this later. While exploring, we ran into the priest Shani. Shane? I don't know how to pronounce these names. We went back to the main area, to the other area, and ran into Najam, who could give us a glider, but we needed to collect some resources for her. We would need leather, cloth, and wood. While running back to the house to empty our inventory, we ran into Reed, who gave us some. He gave us some wall, which we would use later once our house was built. We then set some stone bricks to be working. Badru showed up and gave us some more walls, which we then emptied into our chest to free up our storage. We'll decorate once we get our house put together. Then Tish showed up, and she had more walls for us. And then our mail arrived, and Badru gave us a cabinet. And then Shifu showed up and gave us even more walls. We're gonna have plenty of color walls to play with. We then set some stuff to be sold. That way we had enough money to get all the supplies we would need. And while trying to figure out how to get the leather and fabric, I found that the chat is very, very helpful. I asked a simple question, and I got a quick reply. And they were really nice about it, so if you guys are watching this video, I apologize for not saying thank you. I got stuck on whisper mode and couldn't figure out how to get off of it. After learning that we can make the items, I also learned that we could buy them from Tish. But I could not figure out where her store was for a little bit. We then went and got some more mail, and went to go check on our progress with our sawmill and our forge. We were then able to check on our progress with the house, and we had enough wood. We just needed a bit more stone to be able to build our house. We then checked on our plants, and we watered our little bit of wheat we had. Wasn't much, but it was something. Then we eventually found our way to Tish's store, which it was the furniture store. So we bought what we could, but we did not have enough money for everything else that we needed. So we'd have to wait for the shipment to eventually. We then made our way home to sell what we could to make sure we had enough money for everything. Took a minute to figure out what I wanted to sell. Found a lot of stones go for a lot of money, so we would have to keep an eye out for those in the future. While out exploring, we ran into Hadari again. And he had a recipe for a new pickaxe, so we'll have to come back for that. While exploring, we ran into this dragon shrine, which improved our focus. And the design's just really good. And then we went back home to collect our stone and put on some copper to smelt. We then had enough stone to finish our house. And building it would take about 8 hours, so at this time I decided to go to bed and continue playing the next day. So when we logged in next, our house was built. And we learned that we can expand our house and our land by buying things at City Hall. Tish showed up, so we went ahead and talked to her.
See you out and about.
She was impressed by our house. And she had more wallpaper and flooring for us. And told us to stop by City Hall to get more stuff.
Bye.
And then Jell, the resident tailor, showed up with more quests for us. And then we decided to move all our stuff into our house and organize things. We put our chairs and our tables in, made our way to Tish's shop and bought what we could. And then we were able to talk to the daughter of the mayor, Kenyatta, who also let us know that her mother would be having some tests for us to prove that we could be citizens. I really like her design a lot.
Later.
So we went ahead and accessed the shop and bought 3 writs, which would expand our land out a little bit. And we bought a crafting license. Useful for later. We then found Najum and gave her the supplies for the glider. And we didn't have to wait long to get the glider for ourselves. Then we went out hunting and increased our level. No, wait. We got a achievement for hunting 10 animals. We then made our way home. Decided to take a look at how to expand our plot. Luckily it was simple enough. Just select the plot you wanted that was attached to what you already had and use 1 writ to expand our plot. Expanding your plot also increases your building limit. So we put down our little pantry and left it open and closed it again because I thought it was fun. We then brought our rugs and out of our inventory. I put the really cute kitty rug underneath the crafting section, and then put the little makeshift rug underneath the table and chairs. We went outside and then put our picnic blanket down. Thought right here in the little corner right here would be good. And then went to talk to Ishii,
Make yourself
Ishii?
useful.
who did have a test for us to be able to have a citizenship. And the test was not complicated, it was mostly just running around talking to people. But we would also need to advance our skills. And then we would need to give to others. So, wasn't all bad. Not too difficult, at least.
I'm busy. Figure it out on your own.
While running around, we ran into Gina, and she was the first part of learning about the past, the present, and the future. And that's what we'd have to learn about to be able to become a citizen. Again, while trying to figure out how to fulfill a player request, I asked the chat for help. And again, they are the most helpful people I have ever met. I simply did not realize that the O button would take me to the right screen, and luckily nobody judged me for asking. Took me a minute to figure out how to word it because I struggle with words. Don't judge me, please. But again, this community is already really good to new players and those who just get a little lost. While exploring, I found this chest in the water. Had to go up and walk to it, but inside there was some loot. There was some repair kits, copper ore, and other stuff. And then while fishing, I fished up a chest. I didn't know that could happen. And I got some renown from it. After opening the chest, I got some new stuff. I got a new mirror. It was broken, but it was cool. After completing all that, I talked to Ishii again and fulfilled one of her quests.
This chat was as important as I thought it was.
We then ran into Ziki again and talked to him a little bit. And of course, he predicted that we would drown in water. We've already done that, Ziki. While out exploring for some ruins, I ran into this wolf-like creature. I decided to hunt it down and see what it would drop. And a big creature like that only dropped one fur. Weird, but okay. Eventually, we found our way to the ruins for the quest. Saw some bugs, but I was out of stink bombs. But we did find a briar daisy, and it looks really pretty. We found the shrine, and after paying our respects, we needed to return to Gina. We decided to stop at home to get our inventory sorted out, and Shanae was back again with some more walls as gifts for giving him some, and also explained the birth system here. Instead of having Leo and all that, they have starstones. His is quartz. It was interesting.
Be careful out there.
Well, here I decided to see if I could find some better looking pants. And I found some that looked good. I finally settled on these pair. I thought they looked closest. And then sat around putting some more inventory stuff down. Like this chest here, which is purely decorative. Added my new mirror right above that. Not bad for a broken mirror, and it does have a reflection, which is nice. Then Hassan showed up with even more walls, and they are in an emerald green, which is one of my favorite colors. So of course I had to use them in my house.
Good.
And by in, I mean on, as in the outside walls. Which is nice. And while we were doing that, Ashura showed up. And he too gave me another gift and told me of his Watcher's Stone and stuff like that.
Thanks for dropping by.
Then I went inside and placed this lamp I had found, as well as this trophy we had gotten. And a planter. And then I tried to try and place the Frogbert plushie, but he was too big for inside, so he'll go outside by the picnic blanket till later. Then we went to go find Gina and turn in the quest that we had. And while we were there, we also asked about what flow was. She had some interesting ideas for us. After I was done talking with her, I decided to go to the general store and buy some more smoke bombs since we were out. And sell some stuff we didn't really need at that moment. And then we ran into Hassan again, who was our next spot on the Learn About the Present quest. He wants us to plant a tree. I still have yet to do that. I will probably do it next time. He then wanted to talk to us some more. I then get back to him with the pickaxe. He then gave us recipes for better arrows. We'll try them out next time. And then while exploring, I found an interesting little area, a little sewer pipe. I decided to follow it and see where it led. This was the way to the underground for Ziki. And it's pretty cool. It's nothing like black markety, it's literally just games. I found this really cool arcade game. So I decided to give it a try. There's no tutorial, so it's pretty much just button mashing to figure out what does what. And of course I instantly died. Then found our way to this parkour set. I did not make it very far, so I hope you enjoy the compilation of me giving it my best. I did not try to make good time, I just wanted to try to see what happened. After many attempts at trying and failing, I decided to try out the arcade again. So enjoy my compilation of me failing at that. Eventually, I did make it pretty far. Enough to be on the leaderboard for a few times, which is nice. I then decided to take a break and go back to the parkour. I really enjoyed this game. I hope you all did too. And next video, I promise, I'll try to keep shorter. I know this one ended up being a long one, so I hope you all enjoyed it. So enjoy me trying to get as far as I can on the parkour, and I will see you all next time.